Hello and welcome to the channel. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu worked so hard legally and illegally to become Nigeria's 16th president. So he really has no excuse not to perform, pending the outcome of the case hanging over his head. If you so desperately want something, you'd do anything to get it. But what happens when you get it is the question before Tinubu. So far, he has been sleepwalking from one uncalculated decision to the next. Subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you. The bala-blu palliatives and other matters. Fair is fair. Bola Tinubu did not cause the economic crisis. We need to acknowledge that from the get-go. He inherited a massive debt from an administration who piled it on, right up to 24 hours before it checked out of office. Tinubu was installed in power in a nation on a moral nosedive, an economy in parlous degeneracy, an insecure nation at the edge of widespread domestic reason and public revolt. It was already foretold whoever took over from Buhari was going to inherit the carcass of a nation. It required that such a person possess the mental and physical energy to work something close to magic in order to pull Nigeria from the ledge. It is going to be slow but steady work. The key word there is steady, but that was the problem. In the 2 months following Bola Tinubu's unconstitutional inauguration, and I need to emphasize this again and again because the only way a president can legally be inaugurated is if the result of the presidential election is fully, legally settled. The man has flip-flopped from one misstep to the other. Tinubu was imposed on Nigeria by Buhari, who handed him hot potatoes as part of his exit plans. Tinubu's presidency is burdened thus not only with a legitimacy crisis, but also with the problem of strategic capacity. He is currently governing without an executive council. It has taken over 2 months to send a ministerial list to the National Assembly, and from the hints of the names on that list, it seems like a congeries of snakes and serpents, if we are to believe Shehu Sani. Same old political jobbers who have really nothing more to offer Nigeria. We cross our fingers, of course, but we must note that if the initial steps already taken by Tinubu is evidence of the direction of his presidency, should the courts even affirm him, then Nigerians are in for a very violent ride on the Black Maria called nation. Take the example of the palliative announced by Tinubu and his economic team. It is what can now be called the bala-blu palliative because it does not make sense. On the very day he was inaugurated as president, the man they called Jagaban promptly announced the end of the controversial fuel subsidy. It was a campaign issue. All the candidates had pledged the review of this very shady program, which had built money from the Nigerian treasury and enriched just a few cronies of presidents, some of whom, according to an insider's insider, Issa Yuguda, had actually gone to President Buhari to plead with him to end the perfidy because, to quote these oligarchs, "We are tired of making money." Subsidy removal was on every plate because, frankly, Nigerians could not feel the direct impact of the so-called subsidy. It was a dark tunnel operation, and it was what the Labour Party candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, described as an organized crime. It was indeed all that, but there was another side to this move. It was pragmatic and urgent. The coffers of the Nigerian government is virtually empty. The cost of government has risen. Tax droughts, corruption and poor management of Nigeria's public finance was closing off government's revenue stream. The only avenue to generate revenue to continue to fund government was to lop off the head of the serpent called fuel subsidy. The trouble is, when Nigerians clamored for the removal of fuel subsidy, they actually meant the reform of the subsidy regime, not its ending. As the Labour Party candidate said, subsidy removal was on the table, but it had to be done after considering and fully securing an alternative to the kind of general welfare program necessary for the well-being of Nigerians. The fuel subsidy had to be rethought, but not without a plan, and right there was the problem for Mr. Tinubu. On his inauguration, he announced the immediate removal of the subsidy, but but he had no plan. Quickly, prices spiraled. The cumulative effect of that policy without the cushioning plans has been horrendous. Food prices, cost of energy, price of public transportation, all spiraled out of the reach of Nigerians. Inflation is in a gallop. It should, of course, have been anticipated, but the Tinubu government is not a quick-thinking type. It huffs, it puffs, it is empty on real solutions. In reaction to the public backlash from the effects of his economic policy, Tinubu's administration quickly announced its plan to distribute 8,000 naira as conditional cash transfer to 12 million poorest Nigerians for a period of 6 months. That comes roughly to 50,000 naira. It feels like a joke, but if it is a joke, not many are laughing. Real Nigerians are not amused. There are many questions about the process for identifying and selecting recipients of this transfer, and about the general lack of national infrastructure for welfare administration. Many have pointed out the problem of transparency, given the experience of the criminal scam conducted under the Buhari administration as welfare programs and cash transfers. Besides all that is the question, what can 8,000 naira do to alleviate poverty? It does not even qualify as pittance. It is a joke. What is needed is a better designed, better funded relief initiative that will allow impoverished Nigerians to truly breathe, lift the pall of institutional poverty. Never mind that Senator Godswill Akpabio was caught on TV mocking Nigerians who are saying, "Let the poor breathe." That plea was turned into mockery by Mr. Akpabio because, apparently, the impoverishment of Nigerians is a great source of amusement for Akpabio and his party, the APC. Akpabio has nothing to worry about against the backdrop of a National Assembly which had approved for itself 70 billion naira for the welfare of lawmakers, even as those who elected them suffer hellishly. The garish lifestyle of the likes of Akpabio, riding around in bulletproof SUVs and in long convoys, demonstrate a very disturbing lack of empathy and awareness of the conditions that ordinary Nigerians have been forced to endure. An important factor for my honeys is what happened in the Federal High Court, Lagos, on Wednesday at the arraignment of the Quondam Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, in flagrant and startling defiance of an order of a High Court judge properly made, who had released the embattled CBN governor to the custody of the Correctional Services pending when he would post his bail. Officers of the Department of State Security (DSS) moved to rearrest him. What followed was a disagreement resulting in an embarrassing public scuffle between the DSS and the Nigerian Correctional Services. A team of the men of the DSS had not only publicly rough-handled an officer of the Correctional Services, but as videos of the incident showed, some of the men had cocked their guns inside the courtroom, threatening to shoot people inside the court. This is unprecedented. That's the news, guys. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Bye.